Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gail Morgan welcoming you to the Libertarian Counterpoint's Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. You've heard their point, now listen to the counterpoint.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. We are coming at you on May 19th, 2021. We are just stumbling through this Biden economy, but here we go. We're still standing on our feet. Before we get into it, though, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. My name is Jason McPhee, and I will be your host today. So let's jump right into Biden's bungling economy. We've had now quite a few months for people to get a taste of what they thought they wanted and what they wanted to get away from with Trump and maybe just sanity in general. I don't know. So one of the first things we had, and this wasn't completely in Biden's control what happened, but how they handled it is kind of an interesting indicator, and that's the Colonial Pipeline problem that we recently had. So we had a situation on the mostly on the East Coast and coming from Texas, and I guess a pipeline that fed a lot of the East Coast on gasoline, and they had a problem where I guess Russian hackers had gotten in and essentially put in a ransom program, so that the company had to pay a ransom or else they weren't going to be able to ship. I'm not sure if they were shipping, they were probably shipping oil through the pipeline or if it was gasoline.
They're shipping gasoline and other fuels, jet fuels and other things like that.
Okay. Yes. So they were actually shipping the fuels in
Yes.
this pipeline. and so they were stuck. And so the Biden administration, the odd thing was they didn't seem that concerned about it when it first happened. I mean, they were kind of, saying that this is something that the company needs to handle, and which is really odd because when Trump was in there a while back, it was Russia, and oh my God, what's going on? This guy's a Russian plant.
Yes.
When Biden's in there, and I mean, this has got to be a very serious attack on our nation's infrastructure. I mean, we literally had gasoline lines that were forming that looked like the 70s in a lot of these places. People trying to put gasoline unsafely in all kinds of non-recommended containers. And by the way, that is a very dangerous thing. Putting a gasoline will leak out. It will vapors will come out, and it will be flammable. And so we saw some images of cars that went on fire, because people tried to store gasoline. And so it essentially created a big shortage and some economic chaos on our southeast coast. And Biden was kind of like, well, this is the company's problem to figure out, and no crisis, no big shakes for him on this. You guys have any thoughts on this?
It was amazing to me. It was amazing to me how nonchalant the administration was about this matter. They want to intervene in so many parts of our economy now. They're telling us what is essential and what is not. But here we have a major pipeline in the United States goes down. People are forming lines outside to get gasoline. And you just raised the issue about these non-standard containers that they were using. Gasoline fires were ignited as a result in some cases. But yet the administration said, they're not going to intervene. They can't do anything. They want to intervene at every place else, but we cannot do anything. This is a private company. This is a private matter. Okay? The company had to pay ransom to get back operations of their own pipeline. And the Biden administration turned around and tell us, well, we are sure it was not the Russian government to do that. There are people who are living in Russia. The people are living in Russia, but we are sure it was not the Russian government involved. Now think about the madness of this. Russia is led by Vladimir Putin, a totalitarian by every sound of the word. And you want to try to tell me he was not aware of this? They are not aware of what they were doing? The GBR, which is one of their counterintelligence agencies, was not aware of what these people were doing? And what is the administration doing about this? Nothing. All of a sudden, Russia was this big problem. Oh, we have a Russian asset in the White House. That was the statement about Trump. Now we have actual evidence of Russia taking action against us as a country. And we are sure the Russian government is not involved. There are people living in Russia, but the Russian government is not involved. The hypocrisy is nauseating. It really is.
It almost might make you wonder: is Biden a Russian asset? I mean, the Democrats.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just saying. I'm surprised Hillary hasn't wondered that.
Okay. YouTube fact checking deleteists out there at YouTube. Who love to delete everything they chomp at the bit to delete our videos.
Yes.
Which is quite the compliment, I have to say. But I was going to mention that, but prior to doing that, Jason just blurts it out.
Oh, sorry.
Just blurts it out.
And no, fire.
I was going to say YouTube, fact checker, delete us. I am just kidding here, but I was gonna say, now we know who the real Russian plant is.
Yes.
But Jason beat me to it, but okay, so.
Well, I'm just glad. I'm glad we're taking the heat off of Tulsi because we all knew that Tulsi was the Russian asset.
You see what I mean?
Oh, that's the Democrats.
We are saving you, Tim. We are saving you. We are saving you. We can't have Tulsi being accused like this falsely.
So, anywho, I was going to be kidding. I don't know if Jason's kidding, but I think he is. So, give us a break here. Cut us some slack. We have no bona fide evidence that Biden is a Russian plant. We don't know that. Okay, we just don't know that.
No, and remember, I never said he was. I just said it makes you wonder. Especially if you're like Hillary, because you wonder if everybody's a Russian asset, if it's not herself, right?
Oh, of course. Especially, people. It's I'm starting to think that because of Tulsi, that maybe to be a Russian asset, you actually have to have a brain. You have to have intelligence. Otherwise, there's who would say that Biden was a Russian asset? I mean, crying out loud, if I was looking for an asset, it wouldn't be Biden. Somebody as dumb as Joe Biden at all.
He could be a broken asset, I guess.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know. I guess the comment about electric cars that was pretty funny. Okay. Like electric grids don't have any issues themselves with going down and all the stuff related to that. Anyway, I don't know what can we say.
Well,
is that Knucklehead noise? Knucklehead noise.
That's Knucklehead noise patrol. So don't confuse that.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
I need more coffee.
All those assets running through our heads are just
too many of them.
But it does make you wonder how far is our government gonna go just to promote their agenda. To me, it looked like they didn't care that the Colonial Pipeline went down. They didn't care about it because it was fossil fuels being transported along the lines. I suppose if it was a energy farm generating solar energy and wind energy, they might have cared a little more. But it just makes you wonder, is it fossil fuels just because of it was that they didn't care about the ramifications of this line going down for an entire week, and now we are feeling the after effects 2 weeks later? They didn't care about it at all.
But have some vandal take dynamite and blow down a wind turbine, and oh my God, that would make the headlines for a week.
Exactly.
This attack on our infrastructure is so important. .0.00001% of our energy consumption was just damaged.
Well, this is an interesting point, I think, for libertarians, though, because there was at least a grain of truth to what Biden said when he said this is a private company, and with respect to when should government be jumping in to these issues of private companies in order to defend them versus versus just letting the company take care of their own problems. And
I'll answer that.
Yes, I can answer that too, but go ahead.
I'll answer it. It's when the company puts money into their re-election campaign.
I had a more serious answer to that, Jason. But Tim, I take yours. It was good. It was brilliant.
Well, that's the first thing they check.
That's the first thing they check.
Okay, that's our second criteria.
Go ahead, Leon. What did you have more to it?
Yes. As libertarians, Jason raised an interesting point. You're right. As libertarians, we should be very careful and always be leery of government intervention into the private economies, okay? Colonial Pipeline is a private organization. Yes, we should be leery of government intervention when they get into difficulties. But this is different. And you know why it's different? Because this was a foreign power attacking our infrastructure, okay? This was almost an act of war. I wouldn't call it an act of war, but it was almost an act of war. Because you cannot tell me the Russian government was not aware of this, if not actually supported it.
Yeah.
So this is a case where government needed to intervene because this was national security at risk. This was a case of it. But I would agree with you in general. We should always be leery of government intervening into the affairs of private organizations. As libertarians, that is something we should hold sacrosanct. I agree with that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that was the point I guess I was going to try and make, is that what we saw with the Colonial Pipeline is an awful lot what a war on us might look like, in the early stages. War is very likely to be cyber attacks on parts of the infrastructure. Yes. And that could be private companies, taking down satellites, trying to interfere with the banking system more than our Federal Reserve does.
Yeah.
I know what we'll do. We'll print a whole bunch of money. That's
a whole bunch of money. Yes. No, but even think about it. But this is not a joke. When they're in war, one of the first things you go after is command and control. Mm-hmm. What do you go after? It's communications. Now, think for instance here. Let's imagine a scenario here. God forbid. Let's imagine a scenario here. What if they went after all the cell phone towers, the communication cell phone towers in the United States? What's going to happen? Think about it.
Yeah.
That would be a serious attack on national security, on infrastructure, on things, on our livelihood.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Leon that the government should be very cooperative with this Colonial Pipeline company and, offer help to help them figure out what happened with this hack. So not just Colonial, but every other company that runs fuel from refineries out to their receivers to alter their security. And it should be all throughout the nation. And, Leon's absolutely right. But I'm thinking that the CIA and the FBI, they're so busy being woke up about, training their agents to hate themselves for being white and to hate
being
American
too. I'm being American.
Yeah, being American.
Critical race theory. Just
critical race theory is so much more important than cyber attacks. I mean, Leon, get with the program, okay?
I'm sorry, Tim.
You of all people should.
My apologies.
Well, the crazy thing about this whole thing too, though, is that aside from all of the national security implications and issues with private business and all this, what is the Biden administration's actions once this occurs? their actions are actually kind of the standard big government throw more gasoline on the fire, so to speak. And when there's shortages being created, this is the big government playbook. And in fairness, it's not always just Democrats. Some Republicans make this ignorant statement too. But they immediately say, no price gouging.
No price gouging.
Well, what is price gouging? Price gouging is essentially saying there shouldn't be a price ceiling. And of course, the energy secretary came out and she was saying, we got to make sure there's no price gouging in these situations where there's lines of people lining up for gasoline. Well, what does a high price do? High price literally is a signal to everybody else who has gasoline that's available to bring it to that area. So
bring the market. Bring the market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I think is rather odd because here in California, the government itself, with its taxes on the gas at the fuel pump, one thing different between Idaho and California is that it's about $1.80 a gallon less in Idaho gas fuel. And they also have an ethanol-free fuel that's available. No ethanol in it. Imagine that. It's a little more expensive. But I guess if you don't put the corn industry subsidy into your gasoline, you got to make it more expensive. I'm not sure how that works, but anyway, it does. But anyway, the the governments themselves can price gouge with reckless abandon. But oh my God, don't let the little mom and pop gas station increase the price of fuel 30 cents a gallon so that they can actually bring it to the market and they won't get overwhelmed by people just sucking them dry, and make a couple of bucks on it, and maybe you'll be able to afford to pay for the truckers now that are bringing it over instead of the pipeline. Joe Biden, you complete moron when it comes to, oh no, I think I did.
Fact checkers, checked him.
Yeah, YouTube.
No, they'll check and they'll see he's a moron. They'll see that Biden's a moron.
Let's see, is Joe Biden a moron? Yeah, he is.
No, but let me give you a brief true story here. About this same price gouging thing. In 1983, we had a major hurricane in Houston. I was living in Houston at the time. And of course, the power went out and everybody was looking for ice, okay? So immediately, the first thing happens, the politician come out, and there probably was some Republicans in there too, come out and beating their chest, no price gouging. We will arrest anybody for price gouging or some whatever dramatic statement they made, okay? So of course, we couldn't find ice. I think I got 2 bags or something like that, at regular prices, maybe a couple bucks a bag or something like that. But that was all I was able to find. The politicians were beating their chest. Oh, they save us from price gouging and that kind of stuff. Well, the power eventually came back on. We finally got refrigeration back and that kind of stuff and things like that. But, I probably, if the market was allowed to operate, I probably would have to spend about $30 to get enough ice to keep my products in my refrigerator, refrigerated and all that, frozen and all that. I end up losing about $250 worth of food because I was not able to get ice. Because the politicians were all there beating their chest because there was no price gouging.
But they saved you from paying too much for ice.
They saved me, exactly.
And
the disgusting thing about that, anybody who was in Houston in 1983 probably have a similar story.
Yeah.
Okay? During that hurricane. It was a real bad hurricane. I don't remember. I think it was Alicia one. And it was a bad hurricane that went to Houston in 1983. My oldest son was just a baby at the time.
Yeah.
But they saved me. They saved me from the price gouging. But they cost me maybe $250 worth of food that I had to throw out. And me and my neighbors and a whole hell of a lot of people in Houston at the time. And this is what these politicians go about do. They beat their chest to save us.
We're from the government. We're here to help.
So every ice cream truck, every truck with a refrigeration system that runs off the engine itself had no incentive whatsoever to go drive out of Houston, go to some place where they could buy ice at at the normal price, And then they could have bought a whole bunch of ice, put it into their refrigerated truck, turned around, and brought it back to Houston and just put it out there and sold it for $20, $30 a bag, whatever
Yes.
whatever the price, whatever the market would bear.
Exactly.
No. Couldn't do that. No, because the government's here to help you. Yes, indeed.
It knows
so
better.
That's what happens. There's no incentive. You know, why would a normal person go and buy a bag of ice for $2 or $5, let's say, and put it in their truck, and, you know, go up to Dallas or whatever, I don't know the area, but bring it back to Houston and sell it for $5 a bag? The same that they spent gas, they spent their time, they spent their effort, they risked the, you know, danger on the road to bring it to market. And now because the market is different now, okay, it's changed, something's happened, a little disruption has occurred, and if you cannot price gouge, you will not have whatever it is you want to buy at the price, whatever price it might be. You will not have it. So supply goes to the toilet unless and until they can have price gouging with reckless abandon instead of government with reckless abandon, because that is government absolutely out of control, telling people they can't sell stuff for a certain price. That, number one, I would like, take me to jail on that charge, you know, because they can't just bring out some brand new, you know, it's just like all this mask wearing and all this other social distancing and all that stuff. I mean, you know, is it a good idea? Yeah, probably people will do it. But to punish people is, you know, on laws that were never enacted is just not right. Anyway.
And, you know, and talk about the destruction of our liberties. At least if the ice was available, say maybe it would have been available at $10 a bag. At least let me have the choice to decide if I'm going to let my food spoil or if I want to pay the $10 a bag. At least give me the choice.
Exactly, because Joe Blow down the street may not have had as much food, and he would have gone, well, the food's $50, so why, you know, let's just let it spoil. Hey, let's eat it. Let's cook it right now, you know, or whatever. But no, they couldn't allow individuals to have a choice. They had to make their collectivist choice. So if we're going to talk libertarianism, it is, in a nutshell, individualism over collectivism. That's what libertarianism is, the individual over the collective few at the top making decisions for everyone else.
Well said, Tim. You know, I was going to try and get on.
You got my round of applause. You got my round of applause.
Thank you so much. I like it.
Well, I was going to try and get into a few other economic things too, the Biden, but I guess we'll have to save those for another one. But there is one other point to make too on this whole price gouging thing. And, you know, a lot of times the government is doing this because they assume it's only the producers or the sellers who are going to act in a way that they don't want to see them act. But it's actually the consumer in this case that is really potentially causing the issues, right? I mean, because they are literally trying to buy things up, rationally expecting there to be a shortage, and that's not leaving the things for other people. And so when that happens, you know, I mean, because we're literally seeing people putting gasoline in plastic bags, you know, I mean, which is crazy, you know, right? But you know, that's what they're trying to get away from. So their idea is, well, we can't let the evil person selling the gasoline, you know, make any kind of a profit here. We have to make sure that, you know, that gasoline's available. So what happens? Then the people who maybe don't have the highest reason, they're just trying to make sure they're not short in the future, they are consuming it all at the lower price, which is actually causing there to be a shortage for the guy in line behind him. So anyway,
that's the second edge, the two-edged sword. That's the second edge, is that you have immediate, if you don't allow price gouging, you will have immediate loss of the product, whatever it might be.
Of course, yeah, the remaining supplies will disappear at the lower price. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because then that person is going to think a little bit more before filling up that bag with gasoline, just to store in their car or whatever.
Right. It's simple demand economics. That's all it is.
It is indeed.
Yeah. Well, it's about that time in our show for our Knucklehead Noise Patrol, and this actually brings us right back to the pipeline story that we never got away from. I was hoping to tie it nicely to the end of the show, but we're still there. Well, one of the funny things about this whole pipeline was the way the mask sort of came off for the Biden administration on what they really think about, some of their policies, and you guys were sort of alluding to that, and the idea that when this first came out, that there was this shortage, and that we had these Russian hackers, the Secretary of Energy, Granholm, was speaking from the White House, and what she said about it is, we obviously are all in on making sure that we meet the president's goals of getting to 100% clean electricity by 2035 and net zero carbon emissions by 2050. As you know, if you drive an electric car, this would not be affecting you. Clearly. Okay, now there's a shortage here. Literally, people are not able to get to work or do whatever it is that's really important in their lives. And it's literally, like I said, an attack on our country's infrastructure potentially. And they're telling you that, hey, if you chose to drive electric, then, you'd be doing a little better here. You guys have any thoughts on that?
I think for the people working in the Biden administration, there's a special school of idiocy that they go to before they can take up their position. I don't know if you remember, but when they asked John Kerry about shutting down the Keystone Pipeline, he said the workers who lost their job, they could go build solar panels. Okay? He don't know where those jobs are. He don't know nothing else but they could go win solar panels. Now we have people out on the streets suffering because they can't get gasoline or they can't get the fuels that they need for their cars or their homes or whatever they need it for. They can't get that. But here is our esteemed energy secretary telling them, oh, don't worry. We have these goals in 2035. When we're going to meet these goals and everything going to be so nice and wonderful. What about the people suffering right now? Oh, don't worry. The goals are out there. They're coming. Don't worry. I am telling you, these people go to a special school for idiots, obviously.
But at least we know they're not Russian plants because they're stupid.
Right. I'm sorry, that's right.
As they're filling their bag with gasoline at the pump, they can be assured they're saving the planet. This goes on, that this pipeline being down, it's all part of the big picture.
and in one of those articles, I like what is the word I'm thinking of? Starts with an A, but anyway.
Well, we better get to it quick because we're just about out of time.
Antoinette, you can eat cake.
There you go.
Eat cake.
You can all eat cake, and that's the word from the Biden administration. So we will see you at the next one, and until then, stay free.
Bye.